Well, it's partly cloudy overlooking Jackson right now, but it is muggy outside. 89 degrees, 52% humidity means it feels like 94 degrees. It's going to stay muggy during the overnight, but at least we don't have any storms. But strong storms are in the forecast yet again. We're going to talk about that and much more. WJTV 12 News at 4 starts now.
First at 4, nearly 1 week after a 7-year-old is shot and killed in a drive-by shooting, we now know of a suspect. We'll tell you who authorities are searching for in connection with this crime.
Plus, things are getting heated with charter school funding. A lawsuit claims tax dollars for JPS are being used to fund charter schools.
And a bridge closure haunts one South Jackson community. Why members say this inconvenience is threatening their businesses and their livelihood. But first, breaking news. Another Mack Haik Ford World Series report. The Omadogs will not take the field today. There is heavy rain in the forecast for Omaha, Nebraska. And right now, the World Series is being drenched in rainfall. Tomorrow, we can't expect to see the Dogs out on the diamond, though. They'll play Vanderbilt at 6 p.m. But for now, we're hoping they can stay dry. Be sure to stay tuned into WJTV 12 for the latest. On Wednesday, June 12th, a 7-year-old was shot and killed in a Brookhaven drive-by shooting.
And today, police are aware of a suspect and need your help to find him. John Weathersby is wanted by Brookhaven police. The 24-year-old is from Lincoln County. The police chief says tips led the department to identify Weathersby as a suspect. If you have any information on Weathersby whereabouts, you're asked to contact Brookhaven police. That 7-year-old who died is Quantavious Allen Jr. Brookhaven Police Chief Kenneth Collins said the little boy was shot while playing a video game in the family living room. He died after being airlifted to UMMC. Now family and friends are remembering him as a child who was full of life and faith. His funeral is set for Saturday at 3 p.m. at Brookhaven Elementary School.
In Jackson, the water is running dry on the Siemens lawsuit. Literally, the city is seeking more than $225 million in a lawsuit against Siemens. But how much could this lawsuit cost the taxpayers? WJTV 12's Gerald Harris has perspective from a legal expert, and he joins us live in the newsroom with more. Gerald?
Melanie, the legal expert, makes the case the city of Jackson will argue that it was grossly misled and were overpromised by Siemens, who underperformed almost intentionally. Siemens will likely argue they have gone above and beyond to try to work with a system that was a problem from the beginning. All of this is heading towards potentially years of litigation and a piling of court costs and bills for taxpayers in the short term, unless a settlement is reached before arguments are set in a courtroom, or if the city of Jackson wins and are granted court fees to be covered. But at this point, it's all up in the air.
It can go on for years. It's way more complicated than the average lawsuit between two people or two businesses. It's not as complicated as litigating the breakup of AT&T or a nuclear power plant, but it's quite complicated indeed, and complicated means lengthy and expensive.
Siemens was hired in 2012. The $90 million contract was the largest in city history. It called for installation of new water meters, a new billing system, and infrastructure work. The lawsuit also says that more than 60,000 water meters were installed incorrectly or did not meet requirements. WJTV reached out to the city of Jackson to see how much it is costing the taxpayers to employ Lightfoot Franklin and White LLC, and have not heard back. Melanie?
Gerald, thank you. And here's an interesting thing to add. 2 Hinds County judges have recused themselves from hearing the city's lawsuit against Siemens. Judge Tommy Green cited prior official and governmental relationships with both plaintiffs and defendants. Judge Adrienne Wooten got the case next and recused 3 days later. She cited prior information and knowledge about the case. Now, here at WJTV 12, we're keeping a close eye on the city's lawsuit, and we'll continue to bring you the latest information as it becomes available.
A man is detained and now transported to a nearby hospital in connection with a Jackson house fire. The Jackson Fire Department responded to a house fire on Sylvan Trail early this afternoon. A next-door neighbor who's been living in the area almost 21 years says there's always been problems next door. She says sometimes she fears for her safety.
foster parent, and I done raised 3 foster and adopted them. Now I have a foster baby, but my gas line is right next to the house, and that's why I was worried about them. Did they have it contained enough? Because it would explode my house, because my gas line is right towards the house.
No charges have been filed at this time, and the investigation is ongoing. The bridge on McDowell Road has been closed for nearly 2 years. There's little indication it will be fixed anytime soon. WJTV 12's Shay O'Connor spoke to community members who say this is bad news for people who work and live nearby.
Charlie Taylor has been living off McDowell Road for nearly 21 years. He's seen neighbors go and come and the area change a bit, but never expected to deal with a bridge closure that's now 22 months and counting.
We have to find ways around to go on the other end, on the east end of McDowell. And so sometimes it could be congested through the neighborhood and could cause accidents.
The bridge closed in September of 2017 due to structural deficiencies. The city engineer of Jackson says the contractor quit just this year after unforeseen utility conflicts.
I kind of wish that city officials and councilmen or whoever would take initiative to get this bridge fixed, because we are taxpayers too, and they need to get on their job and not do all this talking.
Up the road at the McDowell shopping area, April Fair manages Save-A-Lot. She knows the closure has impacted business and life for those who live and drive in the area.
If somebody could actually come and fix the bridge, it would help a lot of business around here and a lot of customers and people of the neighborhood.
Just last week, the city council approved a bid that would provide a gateway for construction to begin again on the closed area. Until then, community members say they will just have to wait it out.
Whenever something happened on the interstate, 55 or 20, people usually use McDowell to escape around, but they don't have that no more. Bridge was fixed, then we wouldn't have that problem. It's a inconvenience for all of us.
In hopes of seeing a change sooner rather than later. In Jackson, Shay O'Connor, WJTV 12.
City officials say a new contractor will be on site at the location as early as July. We will continue to keep you updated on this situation.
Now to an update. Good news out of Scott County. Investigators have recovered 29 stolen cattle. The cows were taken from the Tadlock Stockyard in Forest. Agents with the Mississippi Agricultural and Livestock Theft Bureau arrested 53-year-old Michael Lindsay of Louisiana. He's charged with livestock theft and is being held in the Scott County Jail. If convicted, he faces up to 10 years in prison.
Take a look at this. Powers firefighters helped neighbors rescue 4 puppies from 3 culverts overnight. It happened in the Mount Olive community. All 4 puppies are now at Southern Cross Animal Rescue for emergency care.
And Ridgeland police have released surveillance video of an armed robbery suspect. Check it out. This man is accused of robbing Cappy's Valero on Highway 51 last night. Police say the suspect got away with cash. No one was hurt during the robbery. If you know who the man is, call Crime Stoppers. The number's on your screen. If your anonymous tip leads to an arrest, you could receive a cash reward. Now we have a recall alert to tell you about. You may want to put the chips down. Frito-Lay recall is recalling its lightly salted barbecue flavored potato chips. The company says the product may contain an undeclared milk allergen. The chips were sold in 7.75 ounce bags. They have a guaranteed fresh date of August 27th, 2019. Customers can contact Frito-Lay Consumer Relations or return the product to the store where they bought it for a refund.
As the Mississippi Charter School Authorizer Board works to add a potential 5 new charter schools to the state, one group is working to reverse state law. WJTV 12's Katie Rowe was at the hearing this morning where both sides argued for and against charter school funding.
The Southern Poverty Law Center is challenging the constitutionality of the law. The Mississippi Supreme Court heard oral arguments this morning. 5 plaintiffs are challenging a state law provision that diverts local property tax dollars from traditional public school districts to charter schools. According to the lawsuit, it's been more than $8 million since 2015. The plaintiffs argue since charter schools have their own districts, they should not be able to receive any local property tax. The defendants argue that each charter school is a part of the tax levy district, and they believe the funding should follow the student.
What are the schools of the district? Are they the schools controlled by the local school board? Or are they the public schools that are used by the taxed district's students?
Charter schools would still receive their state funds, and the legislature would have to decide if they want to give them more state funds, if they want to have them raise private funds to make up the difference without using this local property tax.
We will keep you updated online and on air when the Supreme Court makes their final decision. In Jackson, Katie Rowe, WJTV 12.
To the Trump White House now, another staff member shakeup. Acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan is out. President Trump made the announcement via Twitter. Shanahan said in a statement, quote, "Continuing would force my 3 children to relive a traumatic chapter in our family's life and reopen wounds we have worked years to heal." His last day will be Friday. Secretary of the Army Mark Esper will assume the role as the new acting Secretary of Defense. Now, this comes as President Trump announces a plan to ramp up deportations in the U.S. It's also on the eve of his 2020 re-election campaign kickoff.
Members of Congress signal they want to act on the border crisis as the Department of Homeland Security says it needs money to avert drastic measures. Natalie Brand is on Capitol Hill with more.
Lawmakers on Capitol Hill say a bill is in the works to deal with the humanitarian crisis on the southern border as the president hints at a plan for massive deportations.
This is a humanitarian crisis of gargantuan proportions. It needs to be dealt with.
We have a proposal, and right now we're trying to get it in the border security bill.
President Trump tweeted, "Next week, ICE will begin the process of removing the millions of illegal aliens who have illicitly found their way into the United States. They will be removed as fast as they come in."
Until we can find a solution in a bipartisan fashion, I think it's up to the president to enforce our laws.
But former Department of Homeland Security official Teresa Cardinal Brown says federal agencies don't have the resources for mass deportations.
From an operational perspective, it's further straining an already strained agency for an unclear objective.
In a letter to Congress, DHS asked for billions of dollars in additional funding for the situation at the border. Without it, the department said it would have to take drastic measures in August. Just last month, officials say they apprehended more than 144,000 migrants at the southern border. It's estimated there are more than 10 million undocumented immigrants currently in the U.S.
This kind of announcement is going to make a lot of people scared. They will not undertake their normal routine.
The enforcement is expected to target individuals with final orders of deportation. An administration official said that's more than 1 million people. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The Senate bill to give additional funding to DHS for the border crisis is working through its Appropriations Committee this week. Now, the largest ICE removals on record in a fiscal year are more than 409,000 people. That was back in 2012.
The Salvation Army needs your help. Their food pantry is critically low on canned food. They use the canned goods to provide meals to hungry families in the metro. Some of the items you can donate include peanut butter, crackers, cereal, canned fruit, and canned vegetables. So if you can, help them out. John?
Well, if you're going to be headed out tonight, hot and warm and muggy is going to really be the headline issue, but there is a very, very slight chance of a thunderstorm with all the moisture we have in the air. Most folks stay dry, but at 9 p.m. the temperature only going down to 75 degrees. Tomorrow evening, though, looks like it could be a very different story with some strong storms. We're going to break that down for you in the full forecast coming up right after the break. You're watching WJTV 12.